What if the coldest person you ever met was never truly cold at all? What if the silence that hurt you was not a lack of care, but the weight of feelings too strong to carry openly? In the world of avoidant psychology, pulling away is not the end of love. It is often the very spot where love hides, so it can keep existing without breaking under its own power. And there is one quiet sign, repeated and clear, that shows everything underneath. If this idea is making you think again about someone in your life, their quiet times, their space, or their sudden comebacks, then stop for a moment and consider it deeply. Understanding avoidant psychology is not about running after them. It is about seeing things clearly so you stop reading their absence as the final answer. If you like, you can subscribe or follow for more explanations like this, where emotional habits are explained simply and not turned into big dramas. Avoidant people are often seen wrongly as having no emotions or not caring at all. Yet their inner emotional world is usually the opposite of empty. They tend to feel attachment in a deep way, but the strength of being close can feel too much for their mind to handle easily. Instead of saying this directly, they create distance as a way to keep their feelings in balance inside. Comment avoidant if you've loved someone who kept pulling away. This space they make is not a sign that emotions are missing. It is actually a way to manage strong feelings so they do not become overwhelming. What looks like coldness from outside is often a shield built around real sensitivity. When closeness grows, their inner system may see it as losing freedom or safety. In response, they move back, not because the bond means nothing, but because it has become too strong to deal with right away. This creates the false idea of no attachment, when in truth, the feelings are still there, but kept safely behind firm inner walls. Within this pattern, avoidance is less about pushing love away and more about controlling its speed. The mind tries to keep the connection at a level that feels okay, so attachment does not take over completely. This is why avoidant actions often move between being close and pulling back. The care is still present, but shown through space, quiet periods, and delayed emotions. Over many days, this creates a strange situation where the deepest feelings live inside, while outside actions show control and calm. The person may care a great deal, yet show very little when nearness feels too direct or pressing right now. What seems like emotional emptiness is often emotional holding, where the experience is slowed down rather than thrown away. Even during distance, the emotional link keeps affecting thoughts, choices, and moments of return in small but steady ways. Emotional pulling away in avoidant psychology is often read wrongly as having no feelings at all. But it is better seen as a defense against feelings that feel too powerful. When closeness starts to feel too much or unsure, the mind creates space to get back control. This space is not proof that emotions have vanished. It shows emotions are being handled through holding back or keeping them separate. The inner world is still busy, but it stays behind mental barriers that stop full showing in the present moment. This way of acting grows as a form of self-protection for many people. For some, early life experiences may have connected being close with pressure, mixed signals, or losing freedom. Because of that, the nervous system learns to link deep bonds with inner unease. To stay away from that unease, pulling back becomes an automatic habit. It makes room between feeling and showing, letting the person live without feeling too open emotionally. From the outside, this can look like not caring or having no emotions. But inside, it often includes real emotional activity that is not shown clearly. The person may still care, still remember the connection, and still feel its effect. Yet they lower visible closeness to keep their balance steady. This is why avoidant patterns often look mixed up, where real emotional meaning sits next to stepping back. Over time, this protection becomes a usual way of handling closeness in relationships. Instead of dealing with open feelings directly, the system chooses control through space. Yet the basic ability to feel deeply stays whole. It often comes back in indirect ways like late replies, returning after time apart, or steady inner thoughts about the person, even when outer signs are small. Avoidant people can feel closeness inside in a true and often powerful way. But they find it hard to handle what that closeness asks in terms of openness and relying on someone. Emotional nearness does not feel safe or normal to them. It wakes up a strong sense of being open to hurt, where showing feelings can feel like losing hold over themselves. As a result, they may feel strong attachment inside, while fighting the outer showing of it at the same time. This makes a divide between inner life and outside actions that can confuse others. Within the avoidant way, emotional connection is not thrown out completely, but it is handled with care and limits. They may feel pulled towards someone, think about them often, and have emotional reactions that look like real attachment. However, when the relationship starts needing steady emotional presence, open talk, or ongoing openness, the inner warning system turns on. This happens not because the bond is unimportant, but because it starts to test their feeling of freedom and inner safety. To handle this pressure, they often choose to step back. This stepping back is not the end of closeness. It is a method to keep it from flooding them. The feeling stays alive inside, yet it is stopped from turning fully into actions. This is why avoidant people can look emotionally far away in daily moments, while still being connected in their minds to the bond. The mixed signals come from attachment and protection living together. They may want closeness in their thoughts, yet feel flooded by its real demands. Type yes if you want the #1 hidden sign that an avoidant is secretly attached to you. This leads to a pattern where intimacy is felt strongly, but shown carefully or in hidden ways. Over time, this split between inside and outside becomes a main part of how they connect with others. Emotional truth lives quietly within, but is rarely said out loud or shown fully in the present. When emotional risks become real, avoidant people often seem to turn colder, more distant, or even hard to reach. But this change is not caused by having no feelings. Instead, it is started by the power of real emotional meaning. In the beginning of a connection, when things feel light, unclear, or not yet deeply tied, they can join in with more ease. There is interest, openness, and sometimes real warmth. But as soon as the bond starts to feel steady, important, or emotionally heavy, something shifts inside. The mind begins to see the relationship as serious. With that seriousness comes a sense of risk. Real emotional involvement brings the chance of depending on someone, facing expectations, and losing control over how much is shown. For someone with avoidant ways, this point is not calm. It stirs things up strongly. The system that controls closeness answers by making more distance. Not because care has left, but because care is now too real to ignore inside. What looks like coldness here is often a kind of emotional self-protection. The person may talk less, pull away their presence, or become uneven in ways that feel mixed up from the other side. Yet inside, the emotional weight of the bond is often what causes this very pulling away. The stronger the attachment grows, the more the protective action gets stronger. This is why avoidant actions can seem full of opposites. When feelings are light or safe, they may look more open. But when feelings grow deep and become real in a relationship, their defense grows firmer. Comment silence if their quiet periods ever confused you or broke your heart. The emotional power does not go away. It becomes the very cause for creating space. In this manner, coldness is not the lack of emotional meaning. It is often the direct result of it in the mind. Small signs of nearness in avoidant psychology often take the place of open emotional showing. This happens because being fully open feels too revealing. Yet attachment still looks for a way out. Instead of saying feelings clearly or staying close all the time, the avoidant mind tends to show connection in small, broken pieces that keep emotional safety. This can mean watching from far, looking at updates without starting talks, or coming back after quiet times without much explanation. These steps may look small, but they hold real meaning. They keep a thin line of connection alive without asking for full openness. At the heart of this is a fight between wanting attachment and protecting the self. The emotional system does not completely let go, even when the person steps back. Instead, it finds other paths to stay linked that do not wake up the discomfort of being too open. Open talk asks for being present, taking responsibility, and showing true feelings, all of which can feel too much when emotions run high. Small forms of contact let the bond stay alive without breaking inner limits. This pattern often brings confusion for the other person. It does not match usual ways of showing interest or lack of it. The avoidant person may seem gone in direct ways, but still around in hidden manners. This unevenness is not by chance. It is a form of balance and control. It is a method of keeping emotional nearness at a level that can be handled while still knowing the bond in the mind. Over time, these small actions become a kind of emotional middle ground. The attachment is not shown fully, but it is also not cut off completely. Instead, it lives in a quiet, watching place where care turns into light contact, hidden attention, and returns every now and then instead of steady emotional showing or clear words. Avoidant people often hold down signs of attachment, not because attachment is gone, but because showing it openly can feel unsafe or too strong. When feelings of closeness come up, they are felt inside, just like normal attachment. But the outer showing of those feelings is passed through a strong protection system. This system puts emotional control before open showing, especially when being open feels risky. Instead of clearly showing need, care, or dependence, the avoidant mind often sends those signals inside. The emotional experience stays busy, but it is held, slowed, or changed into indirect actions. This holding down is not a planned rejection of the bond. It is more an automatic way to lower the unease of being emotionally seen. The result is a clear gap between what lives inside and what is said outside. This inner holding can give the wrong idea that attachment is weak or not there. In truth, the attachment system may still be working fully, but its outer signs are made smaller on purpose. The person may avoid deep emotional talks, lower clear signs of care, or keep space during times when emotions are strong. Yet the emotional bond itself does not fade away. It stays there, but without words. Over time, this way of acting becomes usual and shapes how relationships are felt and kept. Attachment signs are not removed, but they are always passed through avoidance habits that put emotional safety first. This is why avoidant actions often feel up and down. The inner emotional truth is active, while the outside showing is held back. This creates a split between what is felt and what is shown that can continue even in important connections. When avoidant people feel emotions rise strongly, their actions often turn into opposites. They may pull away, create space, or look separate. Yet inside, they are feeling higher emotional connection. This opposite pull is a main part of avoidant patterns. The more emotions wake up, the more their protection system turns on. This leads to holding back outer signs, even when inner attachment is growing. This holding back makes visible unevenness in actions. On one side, there is distance, less talk, and emotional space. On the other side, there may be small signs of ongoing interest, like noticing the person, quiet checks, or coming back after quiet times. These mixed actions are not without reason. They show two inner forces working at once: attachment and self-protection. The attachment part looks for connection, familiar feelings, and emotional nearness, while the protection part looks for safety, freedom, and less chance of hurt. If this is changing how you see their distance, drop return below. When emotional strength grows, the protection side often rules the outside actions, even though attachment stays working underneath. This is why avoidant people can seem to vanish at the exact times when emotional meaning is actually at its highest. From outside, this brings confusion, because the actions do not follow simple emotional rules. Instead, they follow rules of inner balance. Distance does not always mean no care. It often means emotional overload is being handled quietly inside. At the same time, the attachment keeps shaping thoughts, focus, and returns from time to time, even when showing is made smaller. Over time, this inner fight becomes a usual cycle. Closeness starts the pull away. Pulling away keeps the connection safe inside. Then return happens once the emotional strength feels easier to carry again. The result is a repeating loop where emotional connection is real, but its showing is broken into pieces and uneven. It is shaped more by the need for balance than by having no feelings. The clearest sign of hidden attachment in avoidant psychology is not open words of care. It is the pattern of coming back into emotional nearness again and again after pulling away. Share this with someone stuck in an on and off avoidant connection. When someone is truly without care, the connection ends cleanly and does not need to be visited again. But when attachment lives under the avoidance, the emotional bond tends to come back in cycles, even after times of space or quiet. This return is not always planned or said with clear feelings. It often happens softly, in hidden ways, or without much explanation. What makes this important is the opposite it shows between actions and continuing emotions. The avoidant person may step back to balance inner strength, yet something in the attachment system stays active enough to pull them back into the relationship circle. This return can happen in many forms, like checking in after long, quiet times, showing up softly, or starting contact again without fully talking about the gap before. From a psychology view, this cycle shows attachment that is not settled, rather than no attachment at all. The distance time works as emotional balance. The return time shows the continuing bond under that balance. The link is not fully cut. It is held back for a while and then started again when inner pressure shifts. This up and down between space and return is what separates real attachment from true emotional cutting off. True indifference does not go back and forth. It does not return. But avoidant attachment often does, because the emotional system stays working even when showing is limited over time. This creates a repeating pattern where distance gives relief, but connection pushes forward again in small and returning ways. It reveals that the emotional link was never fully gone, only held and managed through times of pulling away and coming back. What we call avoidance is often not the lack of love. It is the struggle of love, trying to live without feeling unsafe. The avoidant mind does not remove attachment. It controls it carefully. It builds space not to kill the connection, but to survive the strength of connection without losing inner calm. Comment cycle if you've experienced their pull away then come back pattern. This is why their actions so often look full of opposites. They move back when emotions rise, yet they do not let go completely. They disappear for a time, yet they stay present in the mind through small and hidden ways. Across all these patterns of coldness, pulling away, mixed signals, silence, and return, there is a hidden, steady flow that most people do not see. Emotional pulling away is not a straight path to not caring. It is a cycle of protection and coming back together. What is held back outside continues to live inside. It shapes attention, memories, and repeated returns into emotional closeness. The big misunderstanding happens when quiet times are read as the end. For avoidant people, Quiet times are often balance, not the finish. Distance is often holding, not true vanishing. And what looks like emotional emptiness is frequently emotional experience that has not yet found a safe way to come out. So the deeper truth is this. Avoidant psychology does not simply push away closeness. It struggles with how to carry it without feeling flooded by it. And in that struggle, love does not disappear. It takes a different shape. It becomes hidden, broken into pieces, repeating in cycles, and often unseen by those who expect it to look open and steady all the time. In the end, what stays is a simple but hard understanding. Not all distance means true absence, and not all silence means the end of care. Sometimes, what looks like the end is only emotion learning how to live in a new and different way. Comment which part hit you hardest, and subscribe for more Avoidant Psychology Explained Simply.